Tonight on Closer Look, closing the doors on a hardware and rural lifestyle chain of stores after nearly 60 years in business, as Peavey Mart has announced the closure of dozens of stores across the country, including Guelph, where GuelphToday reporter Mark Pare joins us tonight on Closer Look. Mark, the number of stores in total looks to be about 90 or so. Last week, the company stated there were no plans to close the Guelph store. What changed so quickly, and do we have any insight into why the messaging shifted the way that it did?
To be completely frank with you, not really. The decision happened last week, obviously, with 22 stores. There were little rumblings that, maybe Guelph might be on the chopping block. And then the announcement suddenly came down that 22 turned into every store in the country. I had a brief word with the store manager who wasn't able to speak on the record at the moment about the closure, but just confirmed that he was closing. But as we've been reading, it's been a lot. There's been unprecedented challenges, as the store put it. But to be honest, it was very peculiar to me, and especially to a couple of the customers that I spoke to as well, about how do you go from 22 to the 1 week to all 90 plus plus 6 after that, the next week. It's a head scratcher for sure.
Yeah, it's a great point, Mark. And with this many locations closing, what do we know about how this decision will affect employees, local economies, in particular in smaller farming communities?
I think it's going to be a big impact. These are bigger stores. But the staff are going to have to find new places of employment. Obviously, the sector in general, I think, will be having to go towards online shopping. It feels like that might be the reason why we're seeing this closure in the first place, is that there's more places to purchase these things at such a cheaper price. I mean, you look at Amazon and you look at these items that are available at maybe 10, 20, sometimes 30% cheaper than what you were getting before. The farming community, as my colleague Isabel spoke with a couple of people when the Mount Forest location was being announced for closure, and a lot of them spoke about they can shop online, obviously, but it's such a big staple in the community was Peavey Mart to just go up to the store and purchase whatever farming equipment piece that they might need. It's definitely going to leave a hole in the community for sure. But as I stated, there are other options out there to purchase a lot of these items, but you can't replace something that's been there for 60 years.
Now, in a statement, Mark, Peavey Mart stressed the importance to shop locally and support a Canadian retailer, and to ensure the dollars stay within Canada. This was a company that was entrenched in the communities that they were in, and clearly want to see support for those communities continue.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's something that I preach all the time. It's something that, our local chambers of commerce always preach about is, shopping local, keeping money in the local community, supporting local jobs, supporting local in general. I think it's such a huge thing to factor in on, and I'm very happy that Peavey recognizes that as well.
Now, the Guelph store was previously a TSC, as many of them were up until a rebrand. In Guelph, do we know what might happen to the vacant Peavey Mart locations, including the Silver Creek store? Any plans for redevelopment or interest from other retailers, perhaps?
Not that I know of right now. I think that might be a question that will be answered in the time to come. I know when they announced the previous 22 stores for closure, that it was somewhere in Q2 of this year, roughly around maybe the end of April for closure. We're not too sure specifically when the Guelph store will be closing, because of course they weren't involved in those initial 22 stores that were announced for closure. But I think once the ship sails on Peavey Mart here in Guelph, I'm sure that will be something that gets answered possibly in no time, maybe by the end of the year. Who knows?
Reporter Mark Pare from GuelphToday reporting from Guelph on tonight's Closer Look.